What is going on YouTube? Hayden here, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, VONG, which is the Russell 1000, Solana, as well as the S&P 500. As you guys can tell, it's been a couple of days since I made a previous Crypto TV episode. That is because I am on travel for the next couple of days, so it's going to be a little sporadic by the time these videos come out, especially because it's very hard to find a place to upload these videos. But hopefully you will see this one in a couple of hours. I'm recording it super early, so it should come out relatively on time. But we have a lot to go over and a lot to look at in today's episode. Last we left off was about 3 to 4 days ago. We made a video saying it's almost time. Next week could be insane. Well, that's this week. Today is, Tuesday the 30th. I believe we might have one more day in September, which is insane. And then we'll have 2 more months in 2025, which is also insane. But what's crazy is we left off about 3 to 4 days ago here. And now here we are in the following week. And let's see how we did, because I did say it's almost go time and that next week could be insane. Well, that week is now. And as you guys can see, we have a lot of consolidation pretty much across the board within these cryptos. You can see Solana, for example, has rebounded beautifully off its support, and we're now heading back up. So something we very easily called. We have XRP filling in the gap on a massive symmetrical triangle, or descending fractal, whatever you want to call it, filling in this gap beautifully as well. You can see just like that here, rebounding up off support where we last left off about, I'd say about 3 to 4 days ago when we last made that episode here. Ethereum looks phenomenal here. We're going on 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 days ago, we had hit moving average here, bottom support, and just as we figured, are starting to rebound upwards, which is phenomenal as well. We have Bitcoin doing that same exact pattern, rebounding lower, and then starting to rebound upwards here. VONG is doing something similar. We do have pre-day trading at 119, pretty much where we closed. We're going to be opening today, but you can see we pretty much drew what we thought would happen here, and that's exactly what's taking shape. We hit support, and we're starting to see that reversal back to the upside here. Same thing goes with the S&P 500. So lots to go over in today's episode. I also want to give a huge shout out to PEPEMEME for sponsoring today's episode. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
All right, before we jump into the technical analysis, I want to take a quick sponsored side note on PEPEMEME, the meme coin that's been getting a ton of attention lately. And full transparency, this segment is sponsored, but I'm sharing it here because the numbers and community growth are genuinely interesting. Here's the scoop. The presale has already collected over $3 million, and the community is absolutely buzzing. Twitter alone has 3.3 million organic followers, which is way ahead of the original Pepe token on Ethereum at 700,000. That's huge social proof and suggests strong potential support. Even more interesting, Elon Musk mentioned Pepe again recently, and these days his mentions can move markets. This isn't just a meme, it's gaining real traction. From a numbers perspective, the potential is massive. Some reports suggest this token could multiply 1000x once it hits the market. For example, if someone bought $10,000 at launch and it went 1000x, that investment would become $10 million. Obviously, that's an extreme scenario, but it shows the level of attention it's getting. For those curious about how to get in, PEPEMEME has a smart presale. The more you buy early, the more you receive. There's also bonus airdrops for holders, meaning you could earn more just by holding. There are even reports of early buyers turning into millionaires, which the press has covered. That said, it's important to note that presales come with high risk, prices are volatile, projects can fail, and there's no guarantee of returns. Always do your own research before participating, and don't invest more than you can afford to lose. PEPEMEME is already outperforming the old Pepe token in social engagement, which could attract major exchanges and institutional interest. The original Pepe team on Ethereum is now launching this token on Solana, breathing new life into the project. The IDO is almost done, and the listing on first-tier exchanges is imminent. So if this is on your radar, now's the time to stay alert. I've left a link in the description down below for more info and to check out their website, including Elon Musk's posts about Pepe. Again, huge shout out to PEPEMEME for sponsoring today's episode. This isn't financial advice, just a noteworthy development in crypto before we jump back into the charts.
So diving back into the technical analysis, you can see we're trading at 43 on the fear and greed index, neutral. We were at like 39. I think that was the lowest point we got to. 32. Oh my gosh, we got to 32 on the 25th here. And we've slowly been, kind of hodling and consolidating back to the upside here. But for the most part, we do look pretty good. I'd say the consolidation that we had over the weekend was certainly called for, expected, and anticipated. and we're now starting to see some volume come back into the market. As usual, it's textbook. It doesn't get any easier than this, because usually the markets are closed. Stock market is closed on the weekends. It always is that way. And what we do is we see rebound. We start to see volume come back into the markets here once the weekday starts to trade. Once we see the stock markets open here, you got to know there's a lot of overlap right now with ETFs and things like that, and big positions and portfolios in the stock market that are constantly trading crypto, but they do it during weekdays. They do it when the markets are open here. So that's why we're starting to see more volume come on the weekdays and less on the weekends, which also says it's adding some stability finally into cryptocurrency. So it is something interesting to keep an eye out on as well. But otherwise, past 7 days, everything's consolidating. Most cryptos are down, which is unfortunate. 5%, 4%, 4%, 5%. Nothing too worthwhile to invest in. But for the most part, you can see we had consolidation from like Friday afternoon into Sunday, and now we're starting to see volume all of yesterday, which in my eyes is good news, because if we look at these charts here, we've been tracking some beautiful technical indicators. It doesn't get any easier than this, if you ask me. You can see with XRP, beautiful uptrend, lower high, lower low pattern, filling in this gap. Phenomenal. Now, we have had to tweak this over the past couple of days, but you can see with this rebound lower, it doesn't get any more textbook. Clearly mapping out where supports, where resistance are, and what we have possibly to experience next. So you can see what we've done in the past year with these higher lows and lower highs, filling in the gap, cleared mapped out resistance, clear mapped out supports, and even what's better than that is we're filling in the gap. Volume, you can see clearly constricting. So as things get tighter, we start to get stuck between a rock and a hard place, the support and the resistance. We fill in this gap, and then we need to make a decision. Do we break through support? Do we break through, do we break through resistance, or do we break through support? Doesn't matter, because regardless, we have a price ceiling and we have a price support. And as we get squeezed into here, volume slowly gets constricted and the pressure starts to build. And once we get confirmation of closure, either above resistance or below support, what we usually see is a huge rally, like an explosion of volume that either drops us or we explode to the upside here. And because we have this very large XRP fractal forming here, that has taken, we could take a date range here. It's been 76 days in the market, so 3.5 months of this consolidation period here. When we do decide to pop, it's going to be large. And I would err on the side of being bullish, because how we enter is typically how we exit these technical indicators. And because we exploded into this one, we should explode out. This is a continuation pattern, consolidation that allows us to continue the uptrend. Once we build enough pressure, relax, we should then expect to see that rally to the upside here. And it goes beyond just XRP. You look at like Solana here, you can see Solana looks really nice. We're in this beautiful, this one's a little harder to track, maybe an ascending fractal, a little harder though. But what we can tell with certainty is we have a clear price ceiling up top here, we have a clear support right here, and what we're expecting to see take place, we saw the rejection, the double top here, we fell the moving average. Typically with this moving average, with the uptrend in white and the moving average here, we usually suspect rebound. And that's what we see with the major downfall that we saw. We usually see some sort of consolidative point. Like we've fallen in the past year, and once we hit moving average and support, we usually rebound off, propel forward here. I very likely expect that same exact thing to happen here. We fall, we hit it, and we start to see a reversal back to the upside, especially when XRP looks like it could do that. When Solana looks like it could do that, and I'll show you these other cryptos, they also look like they could do that. You can see Ethereum filling in the gap nicely, hitting support, more than likely going to rebound up. Looks phenomenal. I think we're going to continue to head up higher. Wrapping things up with Ethereum. Ethereum looks phenomenal as well, rebounding off bottom support. The moving average is here. We should more than likely expect to see markets start to reverse to the upside here. We're inside what appears to be some sort of bull flag formation, descending fractal, clearly mapped out lower highs and lower lows. As we start to descend lower here, this is typically a bullish pattern. How we enter is how we exit again, so I suspect we should rebound pretty nicely like this to the upside here. We go into Bitcoin 2, similar kind of fractal forming, but this is more of a descending broadening wedge here. So again, how we enter is how we exit, but as you can see, we're starting to widen. We've also discovered some sort of uptrend that cuts through it here, and I think it's going to allow us to constrict and eventually break bullish to the upside here, probably towards the end of mid-November here. Ethereum looks good too, but this could be earlier October. And then wrapping things up, we have VONG and the S&P 500 to look at, which have been in a beautiful ascending pattern for, I don't know, since the start of May of 2025. It's been insane. This higher low, higher high pattern. This is where things get a bit interesting because we keep getting near overbought, but with the small little pullback that we have here on the daily charts, this now gives us room to head even higher up, which is crazy. But jumping to the weekly charts here, you can see we're nearing overbought. But in the past, since we have pretty much just entered overbought territory at this month, we could be overbought for several months. We could now stay overbought for maybe 3 to 4 months into this overbought territory here, which means VONG and the S&P 500 can just continue to pump higher and higher and higher. So it's absolutely out of control with the way the stock market's moving here. We'll see how we enter next year. I've noticed a pattern or a trend here where right at the end of the month, like mid-December, end of December into January, like things happen that are substantial and pretty much set the pace for the rest of the year. I've noticed that twice now. We'll see if it continues to happen here, but for the most part, markets are very bullish. Very, very, very bullish. But with that being said, smash the like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.